Hey guys, I'm Davey Wavey, creator of the gay erotic website Himeros.tv, and today I'm joined by sex and intimacy coach Finn Deerhart and intimacy coordinator Leo Rising Scott. And today we are talking about gay sex, and in particular, some like it hot, camp, drag, genderfuckery, working, serving, and lemon coconut cake. So let's get started. Himeros Live is brought to you by Himeros.tv. Himeros.tv is my erotic website with cock-throbbing videos. They'll do more than get you off. They'll enhance your experience of sex through exploration, connection, and pleasure. You'll get instant access to hundreds of videos co-created with gay sex experts and featuring more than 100 sexy models and more than 100 hours of discussions like these. It's porn unlike anything you've ever seen. Join the Himeros.tv family today, himeros.tv/pod, and save 20% off. That's HIMEROS.tv/pod. Himeros.tv, it's like porn, but better. What would be a genital inclusive, instead of saying cock throbbing videos, which they are cock throbbing videos for some folks, but like, what would be a more like inclusive genitalia way of saying that?
Maybe take it off genitalia and just talk about libidos.
Yeah, like arousing. You could think of like synonyms for like
arousing videos that will do more than get
well,
you off.
know, like I mean, like something synonymous with that, but like unique more and not just off the fly.
Let's try juicy. We'll try juicy.
This video is pretty juicy.
That video.
You've used juicy before.
Okay, we'll go back to juicy.
I love juicy.
So how are we all doing? Hey everyone.
Hey, I'm good. I was telling a funny story. I was like talking to my sister this morning, catching up with her, and I was like, "Have you seen my new website?" And she goes, "No, I haven't. I'm not gonna like see like some surprise like picture of your penis or something, am I?" It's like, no, this is my professional website. She's okay. Well, I'll check it out. I'll let you know what I think. Just cracking me up. You're thinking, like,
is your sister older or younger?
She's younger.
Yeah. Have you, Finn? I saw a shirt that reminded me of you today, and it said, "It kind of looks like you're like a logo that would be on your site. It's like this like rainbow deer with like these big antlers, and it says, 'Oh dear, I'm queer.'"
That's awesome. I might have seen that. Like, it's a really kind of pastel-y looking rainbow?
No, it was more kind of like very geometric and like yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought of you.
I do too.
So we're currently filming a project in the UK called Gore and Gold, and I'm so pissed that I'm not there. It feels like being cheated on. I'm a little upset. Generally, I have a high level of compersion, so usually I'd be like into other people experiencing joy, but I'm bitter. Working from home at my dining room table, I'm like, they're having so much fun working on this project. I was telling Finn it feels kind of nice on one hand because I don't have the responsibilities of producing it. There's another producer named Sam, and she's handling it all, and she's awesome. But I miss it. Finn has been facilitating the workshops remotely. How's it going?
It's been fun. It's funny that you say, like, oh man, they're missing out. Like, they've had so many like punches to roll with this week, like stuff on the schedule, changing this, changing that, modifying a video. Apparently it's flooding now. So they're dealing with like little flooding. And then a couple of the models have been like under the weather and just like recovering. And so they, went into workshops. They've been just all over the place, but they've been so fun. And fantasy interp. We did fantasy interpretations today. That was fun.
What was the one that you did yesterday, which was like the feelings, like you express a feeling? What is it?
We use like feelings wheel. Like you pick out random feelings and use your body to express the feeling and try to erotically express it. So I would just use random ones too, like feeling betrayed, feeling joyous, feeling undulate between negatively impacting feelings and positive. And it's
like acting class.
Totally. And that one, I actually love that exercise so much. I do that myself just to kind of remind myself, like, movement is a part of feeling. It's not just a image,
Yeah. You were talking about the punches that they're rolling with. There's always punches. Every shoot we do, there's always things to navigate. There's never been a shoot where it's been like just like, wow, this is, maybe there was one and I can't remember what it was. It was like, oh, this was just really smooth sailing. There's always stuff that comes up. I'm excited about this shoot though because it feels pretty edgy. Like there's one scene in particular, the smoking gun, which is going to be really dramatic. There's another one that involves an ice cube tray. I think I mentioned it on a previous podcast, kind of what the storyline is on that one.
But that was your edition, by the way. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I was like, that was your little fantasy.
Well, it's funny because like I always make these little notes. After this, our next project is in North Carolina, which Leo Rising is writing the concepts for that.
Yes.
Finn and I got to see a little preview of it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
It's going to be really good. But yeah, there was definitely another one of those like moments where I'm like, what if we like, I was like making it. I don't even remember what it was, but some like really disturbing note in the.
Yeah, and everybody like screeches to a halt and is like, "What?" That was Davey.
Anything creepy that shows up, y'all, that was definitely Davey.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah. All right. So, shall we discuss this week's video?
Yes.
Totally.
It is called "Some Like It Hot," which gets its name from a 1959 film that features Marilyn Monroe. Does anyone? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that, but I think for a lot of people, you might have to say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like it's generally regarded as like one of the best films ever, but
yeah.
And
under 30s are like, who?
Yeah.
Who's Marilyn Monroe? Yeah. So anyway, it's about two musicians who dress up in drag to like escape the mafia. Which is kind of like, this is a video that features drag. So that was and it's Palm Springs. It feels like the 50s. So in our version of Some Like It Hot, the video opens in a Palm Springs backyard. It's actually my backyard. See, this is where you guys get all the juice because like watching it, you wouldn't necessarily know this. And it does look like 1959. And you see Dakota Payne walk along the side of the pool with a slice of lemon coconut cake. And I mean, it's a reveal. Like he's walking, you see the heels, like it's dramatic. It builds. I baked that cake, by the way. That was
Whoa, you were craft services all by yourself?
Well, yeah, I just made it for myself and had some left over, and we're like, let's use this.
I love it.
So I do want to mention a few things that I think you guys are going to appreciate that you wouldn't necessarily know from watching it. First of all, Dakota Payne sewed the outfit that he was wearing.
Oh, wow.
So that whole like swim attire thing, like he went to
Yeah.
the fabric store, got swim material, and sewed that the day before we filmed. I think it was the day before we filmed. Like he made it, and he was so excited to be able, because like he loves drag and he has this whole drag persona, and then he does porn, and he's very like jockish and very like he just presents as like a kind of a jock boy in the films that he does. And so he was so excited to like have these two worlds overlap to bring a little bit of this like drag persona into what we're filming. And so he was like, I am not half-assing this. Like I'm gonna get this 100%. So the outfit, it took him 2 hours to get into his drag, and he had to do it twice. He had to put the full face on twice because something happened. I think we might have filmed the sex first. And of course, by the end of the sex, which was like in a swimming pool, the drag had washed off.
Yeah.
And we filmed like the opening sequence last. So he had to like spend another 2 hours getting back into drag.
Oh my God.
So I think that's what happened. Anyway, so Dakota, he walks across the pool in his high heels. He comes up to Taylor Rain, who is looking completely dreamy. Like he looks like an old Hollywood like movie star lounging by the pool.
Mm-hmm.
And Dakota rubs cake on his chest. And what we wanted to play in this was that like Dakota wasn't the damsel in distress, but really kind of like this, like calling the shots. Like Dakota had the power. He's got the high heels. So he's like in control of that scene, and they start making out. There's ass eating. There are lipstick smudges galore. And then their sex is overheard by Calvin Banks, who is reading the overstory. Did you see that? That was a little Easter egg. The book.
Yeah.
Hey, Easter egg.
Yeah. So he's reading the overstory.
Has he read the overstory though?
He stared at the page for 5 minutes. But it was my copy of the overstory, which I've since given away. So Calvin's also sporting some gender fuckery with nails and heels, and he peeps over the fence, sees them fucking, he trips on one of his heels, and they catch him watching. The face that Dakota makes when Dakota, like, I'm trying to reenact it, like looks over and is like, it's this like really dramatic, like it was a lot better than that, but it was iconic. So then a threesome unfolds in the pool on a pink swan. Taylor's licking Dakota's heel. I mean, it's full on. And as the threesome goes on, the pool washes away a lot of Dakota's drag. So he slowly kind of transforms into a boy throughout the course of the video. So I will shut up, and I'm curious what you guys thought. Leo Rising, if you want to kick us off.
Cinematically, it's one of the strongest pieces that you guys have done. I think you knew that when you were excited about it. I remember getting the text like, guys, I think I just shot like my favorite thing. And I was like, great, what is it? You're like, there's a drag queen. And I was like, cool. Sure, it's great. It's cinematically, it's really beautiful. Again, obviously this is porn, but again, it's like with a few snips, it's like you can put that on like HBO Max. Like, you know, it's really, I don't think anyone's erotic I want to phrase this properly. People can watch whatever they want to watch, right? But sometimes we all have that, it's got to be quick. No one can catch me. It's like, this is so vibrant and vivid and so welcoming. And it's the synergy between the three performers is like, it's so natural that it like plays out like an actual movie, like a dream sequence even. And so like, I feel like whoever would watch this would just leave this up. Like it gave me like 9.5 weeks of stuff with Kim Basinger. It's like, it was just raunchy, great acting. Dakota is absolutely beautiful. What's their drag name?
I saw it yesterday. Now it escapes me. I could look it
up. Just text them because they're absolutely beautiful. So stunning. Taylor Rain.
Yeah,
that's such an 80s pop star name. Like I was like, this name is killing me. Taylor also very handsome. Holds beautiful space. Was very convincing as like the guy who gets served cake but gets served a little bit more. I was like, oh, this is naughty. And the other guy was Caleb. What's his name?
Calvin Banks.
Calvin. Shoot. I'm sorry, Calvin. I apologize for that. Calvin's camp was hilarious. The little fingernails. Yeah. And did Calvin only have nails on one hand? Was he an unfinished?
I think he had two, but I think he actually had them on. Like in
they
real
clips?
Life.
Press-ons?
Yeah, press-ons. He had them on in real life, and so we were like, we're going with it. It's Gemini Dye is the name. DYE. Gemini Dye is Dakota's drag name.
That makes so much sense, and that's kind of beautiful as the drag gets washed away and the other twin shows up.
The insights, man.
She's also known as Miss Pineapple in some circumstances.
I got no prickliness from Miss Pineapple at all.
Finn, did you write this concept?
No.
I wonder who wrote it. Did I write it? It's so collaborative that like sometimes it's just like hard to know. Like maybe we were like, oh, let's just film a drag scene by the pool.
Was it like you and Matt Lynn just kind of like probably hanging out, being like, let's do this?
Yeah, and maybe with Dakota and like because it was like a 2-day shoot that we were on, so it was probably very collaborative. I wish I remember. I'm doing too many edibles these days. But Matt Lynn is the director for this. Who, you know, props to him because like all that's he was the director for it and the cinematographer. This was kind of, I think we filmed this in like June. It was one of the first things we filmed during quarantine, and we were all still trying to figure it out. So like we didn't have a full crew. I mean, literally, like Matt was the director, the sound person, the cinematographer. Like we were scrappy with this. And yeah, I'm really happy with how it came out. So Finn, what did you think?
I loved it. It was like probably one of my favorite videos too, actually. And it's interesting for me because in the past I used to have a disgust response to drag a long time ago. Especially when I was in the closet, I was so like, I don't know, visceral reaction. I mean, over the years, this is a long time ago, but over the years I've gotten more and more to where I just feel so much respect for drag queens and performers and like intrigue. And this video is really timely for me. I've been really interested lately in just the entire breakdown of gender and what that looks like and how it's connected to everything we're going through in the world. So yeah, I really appreciated it a lot. I thought it was like saturated like color and really visually exciting. Like I look for that kind of stuff. I think I talk about sex all the time and I work with sex all the time. That like when I actually watch these videos, sometimes I'm like not looking at it for sex. I'm kind of just like taking it in from other places. And that's how I was watching this. It was just like, it was really beautiful. And I was noticing how I was intrigued and thought like, wow, these guys are awesome. And yeah.
What you're saying about drag queens, it's really interesting. A good friend of mine from high school is Haley Starr. I think she's been on the podcast, possibly.
Yeah, she was. Love her.
Yeah. I've known her for a gazillion years, and she's a drag queen, kind of does her thing, and she always talks about how difficult it is dating as like. Obviously, for her, drag is a costume. It's a persona that she puts on. But when she reveals that to guys, they get really turned off by it and oftentimes will stop expressing interest. And from my perspective, like drag queens are the people who often step up in our community when there's like money that needs to be raised after a tragedy, when something happens and people need to like feel comfort or smile or laugh again. Like drag queens are really the soldiers of our movement. And we're like so willing to like laugh at them on TV or watch Drag Race. But then when it comes to dating and sex, like suddenly that becomes like, like this like negative attribute. And I also think like her ability, Haley Starr, his ability to navigate masculine and female energies like so effortlessly is actually something that's like really healthy. Like it's I think Haley Starr and a lot of drag queens bring a lot to the table. So it's sad to think that I would think that like they would be like fighting off like people like, okay, too much interest, guys, like pick a number.
I like it. Oh, sorry, Leo Rising. You want to
go? No. You had 3 words in. I had 1. Go for it.
I had to. It started shifting for me a few years back. I really fell in love with Darcy Drollander in San Francisco, and then I had this experience. And this isn't a drag queen, but like an experience with a transgendered person that really changed my whole perspective. Like I got close to this man and had like all these projections on him. Like he was like this big brother to me and was really drawn to him and like would cuddle with him. And I didn't know that he was a trans man. And like there was a day that it was like a really awkward situation because it was at Whole Foods and someone came up to me and said something about it. And I was with another friend and I had this like, whoa, like I could just see the flimsiness of gender construction and the ideas. Cause I'm like, oh, well, nothing's changed and I'm really attracted to this person. And I've always just been like, oh, I'm only attracted to guys that look like this. And it just kind of like blew me away. So then I started getting interested in trans people and drag queens at that point. And yeah, I think it's an important video for that reason, actually. Could just, even if people feel like, oh, this isn't gay porn, I think that it's important that they see it and sit through that and go, it is gay porn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Go ahead, Leo Rising.
So in queer space, drag queens have the option to define themselves, right? But at definition, drag queen is a cisgendered person who dresses up for leisure, hobby, commerce, whatever, but they dress up. That's not their. They have a split persona, but it's a character, and it's respected really high.
It's a costume, not an identity, versus a trans person.
It's an identity that they use. It's a costume, yeah, but like it's an identity that they use to survive. Like it's a survival, and it's art. So it's something that they appreciate, that we appreciate them doing, because it's art that they offer, and it's the art of performing femininity. Whereas trans man is the existence of a male sentient being who has a particular transformation they have to go through in their embodiment. And on the spectrum, for where we get trans man to drag queen, we'd actually move the trans man out of the equation, because the trans man is resonant with masculinity and masculine essence and thought. But the drag queen is sort of like a branch down that plays with femininity. And we would sit it closer to, like, remember when RuPaul had this headphone today is not it. When RuPaul's Drag Race had that incident where a few contestants turned out to actually be trans women, but as they didn't get to put that on the application because it was like the producers thought it would be too much. It'd be too much. And then some people used their winnings to finish their transitions. And so then the drag queen community the drag community, I should say, had this open conversation is it fair for someone who wants to embody and exist as a feminine sentient being that completes a transition to still be considered a drag queen for their work? Because the old drag queens of old, some of them were, surgeries are expensive. B, the consciousness of community, our own community, was not really that inclusive. And it was like, you're a sissy boy, you're this, you're that. And it's like, it's better for them to just pay me than to me to be open and be in my truth. So there's nuance to the conversation. I would love if anyone who really is equipped with both of those lifestyles, so it would be a trans woman and a drag performer, two different people, or maybe the same person, to comment. I mean, you live in Palm Springs. I can name some people my clients are friends with.
You know who I need to get? I need to get Sister Paula Nielsen on the podcast. She's up in Portland. She's a televangelist, and she's been living as a woman for more than 50 years.
Yes, please.
And when she started living as a woman, she initially presented it as being a drag queen. Because that was what was easier for her to publicly navigate, but it was her way of but it wasn't drag for her. It really was who she was, and she has a really great story. And I did a YouTube video with her, and she's amazing. I'll see if I can get her. I'll see if she has a.
I would love that.
Yeah.
So she's a Christian televangelist.
She is. Yeah, she's a Christian televangelist. She has a public access TV show. And there's clips of it on YouTube. It was a hot mess. She'd like bring in like a white dove, and the dove would be like landing in her hair, and like
she don't handle snakes, does she?
The reason I found her was because I had written something on
sweet to save your soul.
This comes to Jesus moment.
This is like 8 years ago. I posted something about I don't know, something about underwear. Anyway, she made this comment about how she loves that Justin Bieber's underwear hangs out above his jeans, because his jeans hang down a bit. And the picture of her on Facebook was her with one hand on the Bible and the other hand with a bird, and it was this old woman. She's in her 80s, and I was like, this is not real. And so I made a YouTube video, and there became this national hunt to try to find Sister Paula. And then I flew out to Portland to interview her. I'll send you guys the link.
Oh my God, please do. Yeah.
And she's hysterical. She's delightful. She's joyful. She's totally a pervert. She checks all the boxes. So Leo Rising, to your point. Yeah. I want to clarify that though. Yeah. We're talking about the umbrella of in a world that exists outside gender binaries. Dakota is male. He uses he pronouns. It's a drag persona. and which is, as we're saying, different from being transgender. This was a costume for him. It was a part that he wanted to play. So yeah, and it was fun to explore this draggy, campy space in porn. I was surprised. I was really expecting a lot of pushback on this video. I thought we were going to get comments from people saying like, I don't want to see a drag queen in my porn. People really seem to enjoy it. People also love Calvin Banks. And I think like the fact he was our most popular model of 2020.
He's like a legitimizing force for people.
I don't know. It's like he can't do anything wrong. So if like Calvin's in a video, everyone's like, this is the best video ever.
Well, his nails, that reveal was like one of my favorite parts of the video. I was like, oh my God.
When he puts his hands over the wall and you see his long nails. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was like, oh, people are going to have something to say about this. Because most porn, it just celebrates masculinity. Like it's all jocks and lumberjacks. And you don't see a lot of people blurring the lines or operating outside of the kind of traditional gender binary. I will say that's changing with OnlyFans. I think even if studios aren't taking those chances and featuring like different gender expressions and different identities, it's not going to stop people from creating amateur content, especially people who don't feel like they're seeing themselves represented.
Totally.
So, and for people that do find something like this challenging to watch, I think it exposes some of the how do we say this?
Yeah.
It exposes who you are temporarily because you'll adjust and you'll grow and you'll feel better soon. We love that.
It exposes the narratives that are in revision and reconstruction.
That's nicer than what I was
It's
say.
all in process. It's a process. Not everything makes us comfortable immediately upon first sight.
Totally.
It exposes some of the more rigid relationships that people have with like masculinity and femininity. And it can be an opportunity to grow and evolve, as some of the comments that I'm going to read are going to, I just think like for the person that writes no femmes in their Grindr profile,
right.
Like I suspect that person would be really challenged by this.
I don't think that'll ever go away.
But it also is an inverse representation of what's happening on the inside of that person.
Yeah.
Like the shadow reveal.
So tell us more. Like, tell us more about that.
Well, it's like no offense, like, you know, like this like hard thing. I'm like, oh, so what is it about that? I mean, it's inverse, meaning like however we represent ourselves in the world in a really rigid way is inverse to what's actually happening internally around our values. So then there's fragility there in that person around femininity or what they think that even means.
I also think like that. No, I totally agree. And I also think that like not every porn needs to appeal to every person. So totally. Like, you know, but why does the application of like painted nails change your experience of an erotic film that you might otherwise enjoy? That was a motorcycle that just went by. So let's hear what Himeros TV members have to say, because they had a lot to say. Mm-hmm. Xavier949 says, all I can say is, wow. I have never been into drag, but this opened my eyes a little. I would not want a steady diet of this because I want my man to be masculine, but as occasional roleplay, I can see where this would be fun. It also amazes me how the sexes are so close. When you get down to it, for the most part, the only thing that separates us is our genitals. A physically fit man like Dakota transforms into a sexy looking female with some makeup, clothes, and shoes. It was hot watching those lipstick pink lips going down on Taylor's cock. The scene was beautifully filmed, and the music being provocative at first and then changing into a beautiful movie score added to the feeling of the scene. The sexy Calvin made the scene complete. There we go, Calvin. And the look on their faces when Dakota and Taylor saw him looking at them over the wall was brilliant. Calvin's ejaculation was powerful, and seeing Taylor lick his own cum added to the hotness. I never thought about it before, but as gay men, we are the luckier sex because we have a penis and a vagina to have fun with. Another film showing different types of hot sex. Thanks, Davey. Okay.
Does he not know about intersex people?
Oh yeah, there's so many options.
There are actually people, yeah.
Yeah. And also like a straight guy can get pegged and use his ass to get penetrated and fingered and licked. So,
which that's a growing thing. And you know what, I've talked about this before. Joe Court's work around male sexuality has been so cool, and it's helped open my eyes. Like, there's just no way to like peg people's, well, not the word peg, but like to like,
no pun intended.
yeah, I didn't intend that, to say, oh, he's this or he's that. And I've been really irresponsible with those words in the past and felt like, oh, he's just in the closet, or, learning like, wow, sexuality and the fluidity of it. Why do we do that to guys and put them in this box and make them have to conform to identity of some kind?
I have a question about that in my notes. I wonder if I should just save it for after the comments, or do we go there now?
Go there now. We're on the topic.
I thought about this like more and more for myself. And I feel like this is like a safe space to like to talk about this.
Totally.
Like when I was in middle school, I might have mentioned this. I had a girlfriend and I kissed her, like as opposed to my girlfriend in high school who I dated for 7 months and did not kiss.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I remember in middle school kissing this girl, being into it. I think I like showed her my like hard dick too. Mm-hmm. Now she's a lesbian.
You turned her gay.
Yeah, I don't think it worked like that, but we did a YouTube video together, and she's like, it's really funny. But that was about the time when I learned what being gay was. I definitely was attracted to my male friends. I just didn't have a word for it. I knew I was into guys, and then suddenly there was this word. It's called being gay, and that's for people that are into guys, and that's what I was. Like, you're either gay or you're straight, and because I like guys, I must be gay. Mm-hmm. And now, like, my interest is entirely in girls, but I wonder how much of that is that, like, between that point and high school or college, like, if things just kind of changed organically for me, like, maybe things are just more flexible when you're young, and then versus like how much of that was just me suddenly identifying with this label. And I know this is like, it's like not a popular thing to say, but like to the extent that I could kind of just like turn off my attraction to girls, because it implies that you could then turn it back on, right? That it implies some level of like even unconscious choice. But like if I met a girl today that there was the spark, I wouldn't even let myself feel it because I'm so not even open to it. Like it's just so switched off to me. So I guess my question is like how authentic these like binary boxes are of like, I'm gay, I'm straight. Like it's a very, the world is just much more complicated than that. And I also know though, if I ever brought a woman home to my family, they would totally freak out and be like, you have no idea who you are, you're confused, you need to get help, which I may need help, but that's regardless of me bringing home a woman. Anyway, does that
it's totally complex. I mean, honestly, that's how we find out who we are, is through experimentation, and it's not pat and just like cut and dry. I mean, when you said I turn it off, I can relate to. I mean, I've had a wife. I had sex with her. I never had problems getting hard. But I mean, we identify for different reasons. Some people identify as heterosexual, but might like enjoy having sex with a guy, like a guy having sex with a guy, because of like the act of just like he can really relate to the, like, it's called androphilia. Even it's like they just love and worship this idea of masculinity, or there's a freedom there to just like be this raw, like dirty, I just want to fuck, and like they might have difficulty expressing that with women because they're kind of scared of judgment from women, even though they love and really identify as heterosexual. But with a guy, they just not, I just want to suck a cock. He doesn't care, like they can let that burden down, or even like,
what if they found a woman that was like dirty and was like, yeah, just fucking like, just suck my tits, like. Like, are you open to like meeting a woman? Like, is that like a possibility that like, it just seems like the door out of the closet is like one way, right? That it only swings one way. Like once you come out, and you say I'm gay, there's no longer any room for you to feel something romantic with a woman.
It's so interesting because I'll just nutshell this because I could go on all day about this, but like the reasons we have sex are different too. Like even with the men that you're attracted to, there are certain kind of like arousal type templates. And so when I had sex with my wife, there was like this really strong want to be close to her, to be intimate, to share like everything. And like, that's a kind of want, but it's not the kind of want that I have when I see a cock. Like, it's like, so it was a different kind of want. And so that was confusing for me. But like today, as I came out as gay, and I felt massive relief as that, when I was like 31, but it's presented a issue because there are women in my life that I have kind of a sensual tension with. And now it's been like, oh, what do I do with that? It kind of feels uncomfortable sometimes because I wouldn't definitely identify as bisexual, but there's sometimes a feeling of attraction and being drawn that I don't really know exactly how to navigate. And then I think my response is to kind of be avoidant about it, and just kind of like, kind of pull away from it instead of leaning into it and being like, what would it be like to just kind of like,
well, and if a lot of that hunger and desire is around a cock, like there's women with cocks. So say you meet if that's like a necessary ingredient, like I don't know, it just starts to like our world is so, I don't know, these boxes are just.
I totally have a crush on Corey Ray. Do you know Corey Ray, the trans activist? I'm just a crush on her. I read her blog. I follow her posts on Instagram. Like, yeah, she's super beautiful to me, and I'm really intrigued about my sexual attraction to her.
Years ago, I thought it would be really funny to film myself. I set up like a hidden camera at my parents' house, telling my parents that I got a woman pregnant. Oh, wow. Just to see, like, because I was sure that their reaction was going to be them laughing, like, "Bitch, no, you didn't." Like, you did not get anyone pregnant. So I set up the camera and I was like, "Mom, Dad, I have something I have to tell you." And first of all, they didn't laugh. They 100% believed it. And my dad was immediately like, "Is she going to keep it?" Like, oh God, this is not where this is going. Like anyway.
Really quick. When you're searching or you find yourself magnetically drawn to like a woman's archetype, no matter what's below the belly button, like just a self-identified woman, find the woman in yourself when you're unsure, because sometimes what's being evoked is the qualities of feminine presence, fierce, subtle, nurturing. Like there are things that they're awakening in you that your cells recognize and a synapse of your social patterns recognize before you have dialogue. And I love that sounds metaphysical woo-woo, because that's exactly what it is.
You love it.
I fucking love it. But it's important. It's important that it's that silent on the inside so that we can be that silent with what we do with that information when it presents itself. There are plenty of there are just plenty of women. I don't even like saying trans women anymore. It's just women that have, especially still because I'm still an actor, right? And because I have my writing coach and I'm writing with you guys. And so if a woman captures my attention, I know it's creative force asking me to get all the qualities up that she's deserving of, to be platformed, to be nurtured, to be the adversary, she's the adversary, to be the partner, she's the partner. It's like, what is my role in the world? I worked out in therapy years ago. I had a weird attraction to women, and I was like, I don't like it. I always feel like I'm going to fuck it up. And it's because the men in my family were non-monogamous and never communicated that to their women. And so I just saw women in pain all the time. And I was like, I would never do that to a woman. So I friend zoned myself, and I didn't go through this journey of bisexuality until way later. All the girlfriends I had, just like you, Davey, like I had a girlfriend in a grade below college who was like, took me out of cheerleading practice and tried to make out with me and do things with me in the stairway. And I literally was like stoic and was like, we don't do that. We're not there. After prom, mind you, prom was like 2 years later, right? So I was just like, absolutely not. Yeah. Not a fucking stairway. And so I went back to practice. Who did I tell? I told my girlfriends. I was like, I don't know what to do. And they were like, maybe you're really gay. Like, stop dating girls. Why don't you start there? And they were right. But women are wonderful, and men are fucking wonderful too. It's okay to be attracted to everybody. Attraction doesn't always have to denote You have to do something with it.
That's so important, and gay men, I think, could really learn from that. Like this could be something more than just an ejaculation. Like this could be like a big deal somehow, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm not attracted to is like Bath and Body Works, like Body Splash.
Oh no. What the fuck does that have to do? But I hate that shit.
That's because that's when I start to think about like the logistics of like
women?
the women that I knew in like high school. It was like
no.
like Bath and Body Works, like Candy Apple, like Body Splash, and like all those like fake ass smells.
I like Cherry Blossom. Do you remember the Cherry Blossom?
I remember that one.
and Vanilla Fig. French Vanilla Fig was my shit.
I could eat that. I could eat that right now.
You would have loved me in high school. All I smelled like, baby. Brown sugar fig.
I think one more thing about the attraction piece is like, I think the authenticity part of it is really important too, because the only thing I knew about sex with women at that time in my life was like, oh, I got to be this guy and I got to be that for her. And I need to, you know, it wasn't very intelligent. And I have this big fear of like not being enough for a woman because they're so foreign to me. And I think now when I think about them, it's not about me fucking them or being some kind of like guy that they would, you know, hook up with as much as like just being in space with them. Like I have a friend who I'm just mesmerized by her and I've fantasized about her a lot, like watching me get fucked. And it feels like authentic. Like I can like feel it in me, you know. It's not like, but it's not like it was when I was in my 20s, you know, because then I was just, I wouldn't want a girl to see that because I'd just be in touch with my gayness too much.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because when I think about myself with a woman, I think, oh, I need to be this other thing. Like there's not a version of that where I can see me still being like the person that I am today and being like, like it's, I feel like I'd have to step into some role that, some performative role. So yeah, that's interesting.
But a lot of straight men or men who do sleep with women feel like they have to step into that same role. So what does that say about the roles that have been created for us and the men that have, you know, costumed up? What does that say about the whole? Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. Is that an open-ended question? Should I answer it?
I love the question. No, I mean, I'm.
Davey's like, yeah. And Ben's like, I understand what you're doing.
I think it's like full circle with the video too. Actually, keep going.
Oh yeah. With the video, what I love most about the video is if we didn't tell anyone that there was a drag queen present, it would have, and just said nothing, like no description. It's like, this is your video this week. Right. I would have loved to see how, because sometimes when you give people context and they're triggered, it's interesting what comes to the surface more dominantly. Is it going to be the trigger result or is it going to be oh, now you're giving me context so I can push my inner demon down and my resistance away? It's like, why can't you just be offered the thing and just watch the thing and watch the reaction, develop your own conclusion, comment your own conclusion, don't challenge the context below it. You know what I mean? Like, just let it be the thing. Because someone like me would have just been stuck on, like, oh my God, did Calvin only have one hand with nails done? Like, I loved that. Even to the point I rewinded and I was like, what?
I think he had two hands, but that is a good point.
Yeah. It's the wave over the fence that kills me.
Yeah.
Like, it was so camp.
And when he takes down his sunglasses,
he's Calvin really I never want to work with him. He's too beautiful. I'll be distracted. So don't put me on set with that one. He's too much. His energy is like, this is too much. This one's too much.
He's a handful.
So yeah, 100%. Love him to death, but he's a lot. Cody says, "Oh, this is perfect. Simply beautiful. Simply perfect. So refreshing. So witty and rich. Brilliant goodie in these tough times with some small hyperbole. You are the Billy Wilder of erotic videos, who's the director of Some Like It Hot." So I'll take that. Brock B says, definitely one for challenging any preconceived notions you might have for drag queens or the effeminate for that matter. I will admit that I have always appreciated the performative aspect of drag, but I've never been sexually attracted to them. I'm not saying you did a total 360 on my point of view, but you have succeeded in at least convincing me to be open to the possibility. Congrats to the performers and the rest of the team for putting out a piece of work that challenges the ideas of traditional masculinity in a very hot and sexy way. Well done. Lanky69 says, I've learned from your thematic or instructive videos, but this one is pure fun. The sunny images are sublime viewing for a winter afternoon. The models are hot, each in his or her own way. Photography is first rate. The ass eating shots are sublime, and the lounge music is perfect for the occasion. A real winner. I did schedule this for winter on purpose because I was like, oh, this will mean more to watch a summery, like sunny video in January than like in July when we're just like all soaked in like sunlight and this can kind of like hearken folks through yes. The winter months. And I picked out the music for this. I usually don't because I'm not great at that, but I really had a vision for like what this would look like. And usually that's something that the editors do, but I wasn't thrilled with the first choice. So this was kind of, I picked these based on the decade. Okay, so Leo Rising, have you ever done drag?
Not drag. I've been in 2 musicals where they gender swapped me. Okay. Both times were emergencies. So it was like local theater. I can't, what is it called? Community theater.
Yeah.
And they grabbed actors from my community college. And it was Urinetown the musical. There was no reason for me to be. I think on Broadway, I had like somebody do a drag queen nurse. But they were like, "You're gay. Would you be comfortable taking one for the team?" And I was like, "What a horrible way to ask that question," but sure. And then the first time was a funny thing happened on the way to the Forum, which is a wonderful musical. And I was ensemble, and a Dominican girl gave me this wig that her mother, who had cancer at some point, had to wear. Bitch, that wig was amazing. Fringe bangs, brown, stopped around the collarbone, had so much body, and it was real human hair. And I wore it so I could look like a proper Greek protean like slave person. But every show, people would just be like, "Oh my God, your hair is so beautiful," and I'd be like, "Wig off." It's not my hair. But yeah, so never full drag. My expression is quite fluid. But I've never done drag. I'll probably do it once. I think if I had done boylesque like I wanted to, I might have done like a night of it.
Yeah. It's a fun. When we did our retreat at Easton Mountain on the last night, there's a drag closet at Easton Mountain with wigs and heels and dresses. And a lot of us got into drag. I also did a YouTube video where I was Courtney Act, did my drag, and I looked like Jenny McCarthy, which I think you guys have seen that picture.
I love it. Yeah.
Send it to you later.
Okay. It's really good. Yeah.
Have you, Finn? Have you done like drag?
I've never done it. I've actually always been really intrigued, and I think that I will at some point. Yeah. But for me, like I really want. I feel so like it just has to be like the right moment and the right time. Yeah.
Maybe Haley Starr at some point she loves doing drag makeovers. Maybe we can do like a drag podcast or something. It's the thing is it takes all day. Like it's like, it's hours of makeup and it's a lot of work. So all right. So I have anything else to add about the video?
It's beautiful.
Watch it. Himeros.tv/pod. Okay. Housekeeping, new YouTube video. By the time you guys watch this, this week's video, it's going up Friday morning, is gay porn stars reacting to fisting videos featuring Nate Grimes and Adam Ramsey. Very interesting video. Even if fisting is not your cup of tea, I really enjoyed it because Nate is such a connoisseur and Adam is very curious. And so it's this really good pairing of like Adam showing like curiosity and Nate being like, "Oh, I know that guy." Like Nate like recognizes like people just from their holes. He's like, and he can explain like the different techniques, like, "Oh, that's really an advanced technique," or here's what this isn't showing that must have happened before the scene. And he's really this like fabulous guide in like in a space where there's not easy access to good like fisting teachers. Nate is awesome at that. So that's on my YouTube channel, or at least it will be by the time you guys hear this. It's informative and fun, so check it out. We are also selling tickets for the Himeros experience this October at Easton Mountain in upstate New York. Speaking of Easton Mountain, you can join some of your favorite Himeros.tv teachers, and early bird tickets are still on sale. You just have to go to Himeros.tv, click the events button, and as I've been saying all along, we're planning to do this in October. The dates are scheduled, but if in the event that we do need to reschedule, which I don't think we'll need to, you will be able to get a full refund if you're not able to make the new dates, but it's looking like October is going to happen. All right, let's answer some questions. If you guys have any questions or comments, send them to Davey at daveywavey.tv, or you can call our voicemail, which we love, 612-470-5729. So our first message actually came through voicemail, but then and then he wrote in to to give a more, I guess, concise version. So thank you for doing both. So it goes, hey guys, I have a general comment for you all and then a question at the end. Finn, I really do appreciate the love, guidance, and wisdom that you put into the world. With the events that have happened over the summer, you have shown yourself to be a promising ally. You are willing and want to listen. You want to be educated and truly understand the struggles that face the Black and Brown community. You listen and take notes, and when you do have something to say, it's in consideration of the topic, never in defense. I.e., you're always adding to the conversation, never just defending a white point of view. Leo Rising, I love you so much, and thank you for simply being here. In the spring of last year, after Matt left, I stopped listening to the podcast for a little because I felt like I didn't have a place here anymore. With all the love and care Davey and Finn give each topic, they can't truly understand what it's like to navigate the world as a queer person of color. So as a bi Afro-Latino man, I thank you for sharing your voice through this medium. With you here, I feel represented and heard. I love the lessons you bring to the podcast. I don't always agree with the way that you elucidate message. I don't know that word, but it is a word. Your message, I always appreciate the teaching. Not saying it's wrong, bad. I'm just a Brooklynite. Just tell me the most direct and straightforward way, and I'll get it. Davey, you are so inspiring. I have been a fan of yours for a while now, and being able to see your growth and progression through the years has helped me feel more comfortable with my sexuality. Himeros is showing that there's more nuance and beauty to the queer community than just white muscle jocks, and I can't stress enough how much representation matters. I love the friendship you have with Matt and Dwayne as well. To be a white gay male showing that you can love and care about is refreshing thing to see. Much too often we see white gay males seek the friendship of people of color for the optics of not being racist, someone to practice their Black scent around or to fulfill a stereotypical fantasy. Your travel series with Dwayne and having Matt as a regular host in the past part of the podcast shows that you can have regular interracial friendships that are simply based on love and the care for one another. Thank you for that. Question. I actually wrote a question in 2019. I asked you what you would do in a situation where a performer did not want to work with another person, with a person of color. On the podcast, you said that you never heard of this being a thing, even with Finn at the time telling you that he has talked to some people in the industry and know that it's a problem. At the time, you kind of offhandedly answered in a doubt this would happen, but I'd handle it kind of way. As a person who looks up to you and the events following the summer, I wanted to ask you again to see if the panel can give this question a little bit more care and attention. So what would you do if you came into this situation where a performer did not want to work with people of color based on race or the dog whistle phrase preference, or showed some type of racial animosity post-filming? As I'm sure you've seen, some current, now former models were dropped because of their ignorant takes on Twitter. And that is the question. Well, first of all, thank you.
Super thoughtful and really appreciate the feedback.
I remember that question, and I appreciate having the opportunity to take another stab at it. We've talked about this before, that when we film, our top priority is safety. We want the models to feel safe. And part of that is because, like, I care as a human being, obviously, but I think the other part is that a lot of what we film requires vulnerability, and no one is going to be vulnerable if you don't feel safe, right? You need that foundation. And there's a lot of different aspects of safety. There's STDs, there's, physical health, there's emotional safety. I think a big part of that is ensuring that people of color feel safe on set. And that goes for not just our models, but for our crew, the crew that we're working with, and the audiences that are viewing our content. And I think that's a ball that we don't always carry perfectly. And I think my answer to you back in August of 2019 was an example of me dropping that ball. So to answer your question, if a model were to express, any sort of like dog whistle or willingness to work with someone of color, for me, that's a violation of safety. That's not someone that I'm interested in including in a film shoot or having on set. I wouldn't feel comfortable having that person in the same space as people of color where we're exploring intimacy and vulnerability. And I'm also just not like interested in using my platform to elevate that person in the community. So when we do film, I just logistically, the models are aware of who they're going to be working with. So we're like, okay, here's the shoot, here's the scenes, here's who you're going to be working with. So it's not a surprise. It wouldn't be a situation where you just like walk onto set and meet your scene partner for the first time. So if there was an issue, if someone was unwilling to work with a co-star for whatever reason, and it has happened before, but it wasn't on the basis of race, that conversation happens before we get to set, kind of proactively. And though, like I think that we're pretty well tuned into like the conversations that are at least I'm pretty tuned into the conversations that are happening in the porn world, like you on Twitter. I think it's unlikely that a model telling me that they don't want to work with a person of color would be their first time expressing a form of racism. And so when I see that, like whether it's on Twitter or from other models telling me that, then I know that that person is not a good fit for Himeros TV. It's not someone that I would reach out to. The one instance where it did happen, when a model was like, I don't want to work with that guy, it was because that person was undetectable. And when it happened, his perspective was like, he thought I was going to replace the undetectable co-star, but I was like, oh, that's not how this is going down. And I replaced him instead. So that's my answer. It's a matter of safety, and I strive to create a website or a community that's safe for everyone. And I don't always succeed in that pursuit, but it is my aim. And I do apologize for not giving you an adequate answer on the topic before.
What year was the question?
It was August 2019.
Wow.
Yeah. He had a lot of lovely things to say about you both.
I really appreciate when you slip into like manager mode too.
Oh, is that what I just did?
Totally. I was like, oh, there's Davey the boss. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a drag persona, but I have a manager persona.
I love it. We like kind of pop in and out of those with each other. Yeah, I really appreciate that question and response. I actually remember an experience on set where that was something that was coming up, and it wasn't actually, oh, I don't want to work with this person. It was like, I don't know how to relate to this person through the role that's being asked of me. And I kind of see that as an intersection of racism, but also youth and lack of self-knowledge and performance issues. There was just a lot of stuff. And that day actually turned out pretty well. This person just needed to talk about why he was feeling like he didn't know how to perform.
I remember that.
Yeah. He performed with Black performers frequently, but it was typically Black performers being dominant and him being submissive in some kind of way. So and he had to kind of like step into his dominant self and didn't know how to do that.
Yeah, because he was the dominant
Yeah.
role in that scene. And
Yeah, he
was
felt really like overwhelmed and kind of scared to talk about it, and also kind of like he didn't want to come off like, I'm not saying I don't want to, I'm just saying I felt like kind of overwhelmed on the spot, and then he couldn't get hard, and it just kept snowballing, and then like, you know, it was like, come on, get hard, and so anyway, we had a chat, but I haven't been personally involved with someone saying I don't want to work with a person of color. And if I did hear that, like I would be like, Davey, or, you know, I think now too, like Leo Rising being on team, would defer to like Leo Rising to help me like make a decision if I felt like I was going to make a decision that wasn't confident or not knowing fully.
It really starts with asking them, how did they come to that? I would ask them first, do they know the name of the performer that they're partnered with? And if they can say the name, it's like, okay, how did you come to that? What's going on? It's not my favorite form of racism, but it is a form of racism when someone can activate that. Or race trauma,
Can
racially.
activate what?
When someone can activate that, let's say like it's either a race trauma or it's a form of racism. So we have to ask, how did you come to that? Like, where do you not feel safe?
Mm.
And at this stage in erotic art, I'm seeing a lot more solidarity. Like when we do research on people, like I see things that I don't even see on Himeros, you know, a lot more blended connection. So it's just, how did you come to that? And working with it objectively, because we have to get the person to be honest. We have to see if they are open to change. And if they're not open to change, we have to then just let them go, because how do you, with integrity, shoot something where you know there's like blended relationships happening, but one person is always paired with a white person because they feel sexier that way, or it hurts their brand to be with other, like those tropes existed mainstream and in porn like at least 15 years ago actively. I would say that maybe I don't know much about porn, but I know like watching mainstream television now, even with commercials, like America's painting this image of the ideal family being a black wife and a white husband, where that was like a hell no 10 years ago. Anytime a black man was with a white woman, like that was like a thing. It was very rare for producers to put money behind that. Anytime you saw an Asian person, an Asian woman or an Asian man, they were always played down as like bratty or the second wife, never the first wife. Like these weird tropes that exist, and because media pushes those things out, people develop these belief systems. And so it's really important to ask a performer in 2020 forward, how did you come to that? And if say someone has like a really tender traumatic experience and racism is fueling, they weren't racist before, but now they have this evidence of being affected by someone of a particular pigment, we have to help them de-escalate that as willing as they are to de-escalate it, so they can get back to the truth that the world is blended and that was a freak occurrence that occurred. I've had a client like that who needed my tone adjusted because they were sensitive to an incident that happened with other black men in their lives, but they chose to date black men that come with a particular tone. And I'm like, I don't even have the tone. Like, they're like, yeah, but when you do the tone, and even if it's not to me, it reminds me. I was like, okay, well, we need to do the de-escalating work on what do I remind you about of just me? Not reassociate me to, I can't even say this man's name anymore. I'm gonna say Hanging with Mr. Cooper, but I almost said the other show. Can't say that show. But like we can't get trapped in assigning magical black people and magical white people. Like it genuinely has to be, do you know the person you're referring to? And if you do not know the person you're referring to and you're feeling uncomfortable about, maybe not insert your prejudice over this new opportunity for you to erase your prejudice. How did you come to that? That's how I would handle it on set if we were like already on location. If it happened before location, I would just text Davey, fire him, because I mean, I have my tolerance is 0, and I'm too empathic for it, and I would literally feel really concerned for every other model about like the energy and the hidden transference that happens. Like when I have sex with someone, like I know my healing work is activated, so I love when that occurs. So I can only imagine if when we all hang out later in the spring, if it's anything like the September group, like these are a bunch of intuitive people, like they would already know, and that would be horrible for them. So I don't even think Davey would tolerate it. You know what I mean?
It's not our job to try to convert like a racist performer into like anything else. Like that's I'm not interested in doing that. Like I want to bring folks to the table. Like I wouldn't feel comfortable with that person on the table. I want to bring folks to the table that are like excited to show up, to engage in like ecstatic play with the people that they're filming with. Like, so yeah. So that question comes from Atlas. So
Alice.
From Atlas. Yeah. Thank you, Atlas.
Atlas. I think did you hear Alice, Finn, or Atlas?
Yeah,
Atlas.
I heard Alice. It's Atlas. Yeah.
Atlas.
That's why I was confused. I'm like, well, okay.
Did you take an edible, Davey?
Yeah, right. No, I am not taking an edible. Cool. So, I have another. Do we have time for a quick question?
Totally. Yeah.
Okay. I recently went on a date with a guy who sent me a selfie of him eating at Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
When I told
I'm out.
Should I save it for next week?
No, finish it now.
Okay. When I told him about the anti-gay history of the restaurant chain and how much money they've given to anti-LGBTQ organizations, his reaction was, "Yeah, but their chicken tastes so damn good. What the fuck do I do about that?"
What's the date on this?
Of this question?
Yes.
Today.
Oh, we can save this one, Finn.
No, let's
What do you
do
mean?
it.
The date on this question is today.
Yeah.
Like it was sent in today. Yes.
Send it today.
Yeah.
We can save this. They're literally waiting for the answer for tomorrow. They want to dump him. This is great.
Wait, I don't understand what's happening. What?
I didn't know if there's like a backlog question that we missed.
No.
And so I was like, this could be a lost cause. Like they could be anywhere. He could be indulging in Chick-fil-A.
Oh no,
for
this
a
is
while.
happening in real time.
Yeah, this one's happening in real time. I feel like we can help.
Okay, let's help.
I'm just gonna say there are so many reasons not to eat at Chick-fil-A. one of the major reasons is the anti-LGBTQ stuff, but there's also just like, yeah, it's just so problematic.
I think like also is like was that I feel like that this requires like a sit down conversation. Like, yeah, but their chicken is so damn good. Like if someone said that over Snap, like are you being funny? You know,
There's
like
one thing I want to say though about this, because I think this is super important. Do you check every single thing that you buy? Do you know what your money goes to? Do you look at the corporate donations? Like, because that shit.
No, but I know Chick-fil-A is like, and I know that they've changed their policies recently,
Not
but
you.
for like
They
10
changed it again.
years. Yeah, and for 10 years they gave like a shit ton of money to anti-LGBT like millions and millions of dollars.
Pardon to interject, but then they went back on it because they're still Christian owned and the founders are alive. And so they did a temporary cleanup and then they actually said, never mind, we're doing what we want to do.
For me, what I hear when someone says, yeah, but their chicken is so damn good, to me, what I hear is, yeah, well, I'm not going to be affected by these anti-LGBT policies anyway, so I don't care.
Yeah,
that's what I hear.
Or I don't feel connected to the inquiry. Not, I don't care about the policies, but I don't really feel a connection to that question, or maybe even an avoidance of it. You know, which is its own defense. And it could be something about date. I mean, we have dating. The ideas that we like kerfluffle about are not really what we're like fighting about. It's more about like, it could be the fact that somebody's calling him out and he wants to push back. You know, it could have been anything. They could have been talking about, should we like have iced, you know, this or not? I don't know. Like it just.
So I wrote this question.
Did you really?
Yeah, about an experience that I had today. What if
Oh,
all these
is that
questions
your life
are really
today?
from me? Yeah, yeah. This is a question that actually happened to me today with a guy that I was like very, yeah, okay. So
Just chat with him and just start a process,
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's not a good response, huh?
No, I mean, I hear you. And sometimes there's just deal breakers. The only reason I'm kind of making a case for this is because
Deal
we
breaker.
all, we all have such like nuanced, like shadow, it's like the judgment aspect is a good doorway into like, how am I also doing the same thing? Like we all have these inconsistencies. We're fickle. We're not honest with ourselves. We make it concession and cognitive dissonance where we want to, and not where in other places where it's like a real big vulnerability. So it's an entry point. If you really liked him, that it could be a process that he might come around, but it may not be just in this one moment,
What's annoying is that it's like the first time I felt a strong connection to someone in a very long time. And then he made this offhanded comment. And if you remember on our podcast, I think where I was on an edible, I said the best relationship advice I ever got was when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time.
Well, but and honestly, I hate Chick-fil-A, but I just want to say, but is that who he is? Like that's
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Moment in time. I don't think that's fair.
It may not be who he is, but it could be who he makes time for, what he makes time to excuse.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when someone's actively working on being an ally, actively working on being an abolitionist, actively working on like building a rapport in that lane. You kind of need to, the universe or just your experiences you're good. It's not a bullshit radar. It's just a matter of, okay, they presented this opportunity to you. You confronted them with facts, and they were like, but the chicken's so good, as if you're A, not a wonderful chef that they already know about. B, Popeye is made with worse chemicals but tastes better. No. There are better places, and it's a matter of convenience, and it's convenient for this person to bypass their own harm. Like it's not harm just to a sect of people that they're not. Like it's direct harm to what they live and exist as. And so that's social. That's a social conflict of like, I'm not going to willingly give money once I find something out. The evidence is there, right? And so Davey's someone who lives to find these things out, and so that's the contrast is it's a test, boo. Like,
yeah.
It sounds like now that I know it's you, I'm like, oh, this person's so temporary and doesn't even realize how temporary they were, right? And however, you can enjoy them as a text friend now, but it's like, and then what I wanted to ask was, how did they send you the picture? Were they sexy or were they being cute? Like, yay, I'm eating today.
It was like a yay, I'm rewarding myself with Chick-fil-A.
I love the rising space right now.
Because then I want to have, like you, Finn, I want to have like the most compassion, but I'm also aware that there's a sect of gay men that just don't care. They just don't. We talked about the COVID parties last week, right? Like there's a sect of our community that's just like,
and I'm like,
reach me directly, so whatever.
Where do you fall in this? Like, and okay. I don't want to disclose more details because I feel like
there are better sandwiches though.
Yeah,
there really are, and let's be honest.
I'm gonna write
organic.
No, you need to really write in questions because this is great. I'm gonna write in questions every week. There's gonna be like all these questions from me. I'm gonna be like, this comes from Josh.
It's like one invitation though to anyone and everyone. Invitation. Like track your honest thoughts and your judgments and your everything in a journal for like a month and look back and look at the kind of actual, we have a rosy self-image of ourselves. And then the truth is we're blind in lots of ways. And we also are very inconsistent. And so it's a practice that I've been doing for a while, and it's really powerful for me. And it helps me to be more compassionate with people because I realize, this dickish comment he made, he may not even really believe it. It could just be like this, I don't know, just some unconscious kind of blab.
Like he could have been trying to be funny. Just misplaced humor. I don't know, but I am going to have a conversation.
You'll never know because you don't have like his
I'll never
brain
know because I'm never going to see him again.
No. But you'll never know because you don't have his brain. You don't have his experiences. Even my medium ass knows at the end of the day, I really don't know anyone. And anything that I send back to anyone is because they were like highly forgetting to be reminded of it. But I don't walk around feeling like I know people better than they know themselves. And so don't take this as an opportunity to completely turn him off, but definitely take it as an opportunity to be like, you may not have known this, you may not have never known, but who I am as a person can't tolerate that. I can tolerate you in so many other areas, but that shit set me off and I had to bring it up on my podcast.
Totally.
Like it dismantled me a little bit, and I just need you to know, like, I like you enough that it dismantled me. So let's talk.
Yes. Oh, you are so good. You're so good.
I can feel his energy, so I'm like, he's cute, but still, that was a dick move. He should not.
Can you help me write a letter to my dad, please?
Don't make me cry again. I've been crying since Christmas on this fucking podcast.
I would love that. That'd be great.
Okay, well, we went way over for time, and I know you guys have other things.
I'm actually free for the day, kid. You want to keep going?
2 hours. Oh, good. Maybe I'll finish my hair.
I will, and vote with your wallet for sure. I'm playing devil's advocate, but if I hear things like that, I won't support him anymore either.
There's a Mormon bakery in Palm Springs that I loved going to, and then found out that they're Mormon. Yeah. And one of my friends here actually went in and was like, I love eating at your establishment, but like, I really need to know, like, what's the deal here? Like, this is half of Palm Springs is LGBT identified. Like, what is your position? And they were like, yeah, we really love LGBT people, and we wish the Mormon Church's platform was different, but it's not. And for him, that was enough. For me, I'm like, well, bitch, you're still giving 10% of your income to the Mormon Church. So like, for every muffin I buy, that's like 20 cents going to the Mormon Church. And like, I'm not okay with that.
To like abuse some kid. Yeah, totally.
It's interesting you say that. So I am off Facebook as of like late November, right? But a Mormon found me through some of my old job listings, and he starts asking me for gym advice. Hi, I just moved to New York.
Oh my God.
And my dumbass, I was just in this, like, I'll just help you, neighbor. Like, I miss giving directions in New York. So I list all these gyms. He's like, I'm looking into CrossFit. Then he starts saying things, and my inner voice starts laughing. And I'm like, why am I laughing at myself? And it was like, reread his questions. And I realized, oh, he's going through my Facebook to communicate with me. Like, he's choosing things. He's choosing buzzwords. So finally, he was like, yeah. It's like, what do you do after CrossFit? And I was like, I meditate. He was like, meditate? What's that? And I was like, it's like silent contemplation. He's like, I contemplate about Jesus. Do you like? And then he goes straight in for the Mormon kill. And I was like, now I'm going to bring it up. So when you reviewed my profile, did you see that like I follow witch accounts and I'm very like, like I just start naming shit. I was like, and then I'm gay as hell. And he was like, yeah, that's okay. But like, what do you know about Jesus? So then I just
trying to save you.
He was, but he was also 24. He also, this may be the only thing he knows. And in their training, and Finn, you'll probably agree to this, in their training, they breed them to be so inquisitive that if they meet somebody who can match their training, like I know so many Mormon converts that like ended up going through a landmark program at Lululemon and quitting because it's just another brainwashing on top of another brainwashing. Yeah,
because they're like going, it's the ideas are not the form is more important than the content. What they're saying is less important than the fact like, oh, I want to engage with you and win this. You know, this is something, you know, that's going on underneath the surface.
Ultimately, I sent him to Lululemon because I was like, I'm going to send him to all the places that are going to rewash his brain.
That's so funny. You like send him to Landmark?
Basically, I was like,
oh my God. Davey, we need to send Davey to Landmark.
You like, I don't even know what that is. I've heard of that.
You do like a 3-day weekend where you're just booger crying because someone's telling you that you're enough.
You are enough. That's like every Himeros TV project is that. So
I don't think it's gonna. I don't know.
Yeah,
I love it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's wrap this up.
10 more minutes. 10 more.
I had a. Okay, I will say this though. I had when I was in college, there was this girl that tried to save me, and she was an RA just like I was, and she said it was Leo Rising, similar to what you're saying. Like, yeah, but like, what's your relationship with Jesus? And I was like, Jesus. I was like. I don't have a relationship to him like, any more than I have a relationship to like to like the Incredible Hulk. I was like, I don't know. It's just like it's just a character in a book. And she's like, no, but it's the Bible. And she's like, and you know that the Bible says blah blah blah. And I was like, oh yeah, but like I don't believe in it. And she's like, but if you don't believe in the Bible, you're gonna go to hell. I'm like, well, according to the Bible, I don't believe in the Bible. Like, just I'm like, it was like someone suddenly told her that she had no magic. And she was like, I was like, it's a book. I was like, it's just a book.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. For me, I saw this great quote, and it was like, the periodic table of non-existent things is infinite. And it's like when someone says to you like Jesus is real or something, and or you know, God's real. I'm like, okay, but they can't prove it. And then the flip side is like, well, how do you prove that he's not real? Well, like, how do I prove that there's not a wall here? If something's real, prove it to me. And I'm of the kind of belief that maybe there's a God. I don't know, but do I believe in God? No, I don't. So
the thing, it's so funny. I mean, I grew up in so much of like a compression around this, and now to me, I'm like, wow, like to make something, like to need to be asserting that it's real all the time just shows like that the need to prove that something is real. But it's like when you do that, you just take away the power of the myth anyway. Like there's no power left in it if it's about just, is it true? Is it not true? Versus like, what does this represent, or what could this symbolize for, you know? It's a
but when I look at Josh Brady's dick,
who's Josh Brady?
The guy
remember
in the phone
a few weeks ago
in the phone sex video. When I look at his dick, that is my proof of God's
existence. Gosh, yes,
might as well be your crucifix.
Yeah. She should have just taken that approach. That would have been a more effective approach.
Do you want her to show you a strap on, or to bring your boyfriend penis?
If Lachelle was, her name was Lachelle, if she was like, look at this penis, tell me that God doesn't exist, I might have been like, oh yeah, you have a good point. This embodies. Anyway, I'm hanging up. We're done. Thank you guys. So where can people get more? Next week we're discussing something. I forget what the video is. Finn, where can people get more of you?
FinnDeerhart.com, FINNDEERHART.com.
Leo Rising, where can people get more of you?
Find me on Instagram, Leo Rising Official, and on the podcast.
And remember, you can join Himeros.tv and save 20% at Himeros.tv/pod. Thank you guys so much for listening. And as always, more to come.